Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Whitechapel, Hymns in Dissonance, out March 7th on Metal Blade Records. The album has 10 tracks, 43 minutes in length, and this is the band's 9th full-length studio album. They are an iconic American deathcore band. When it comes to the design of the album, at first glance, this is a record that feels very compact, very balanced. I would go as far as to say very dense. Now, it's dense in its construction, it's not dense in its sound. And I'll explain that when I get into the elements of the sound of the record. But from a design standpoint, there's no ebbs and flows. There's not like there's a track on this record that breaks the intensity, the aggression, the violence that exists within the songs and within the album. The record stays very linear and very consistent from that overall perspective. Now, when you dive deeper into the songs, you're gonna find ebbs and flows. You're gonna find pockets of clarity that comes with the melody that some of the tracks have. And I felt like those were really important to allow the individual songs of the record to be easier to digest, to not feel repetitive, to not burden the listener. So when you add these pockets within the songs, you're not really changing the overall dynamics of the record. You're still giving an overall album that has one face and one representation, but you're allowing the album to have a much longer shelf life. You're allowing the album to be a lot easier to engage with and to stay engaged with, and you're definitely making the listening experience a lot more pleasurable. And I think this is a key factor on how this album comes across. Having the right tracks in the right order with the right pockets, so that overall, even without noticing, the album feels a lot more dynamic than what you can see at first glance. Once you dive deeper into the sound of this record, like I said, you're not going to find a dense record. And that is something that is not easy to do. When you have an album that is this brutal, that is this heavy, that is this thick, it's very easy to just have this one sound experience and be almost blinded by the uniquenesses that the songs could bring to the surface. Almost like saying that it's very hard to see the forest from the trees. I see so many bands falling prey to that once they try to create an album that's ultra heavy, ultra brutal. These guys had the right approach from a production standpoint and also from a sound and song construction aspect. This record is heavy. This record is brutal. This is a thick sounding record, but you're still able to hear all the different components that make the sound and allow yourself to really dive deeper into the overall layers that the tracks have. The tracks are not one dimensional or one directional. The tracks offer a lot more than just that heaviness that rises to the surface. And having those pockets of melody, having songs that have this underlying melody to them, or infusing some guitar melody intertwined with the heavier guitar sounds, or the solos on this record, the melodies of the solos on this record add incredible pockets that allows the songs to breathe a little bit better. All of these elements that the guitars are offering, that the more melodic side of the record is offering, makes the heavier side of the album even heavier. But like I said, it also makes it a little bit easier to digest and gives a lot more life. It makes the songs feel more dynamic, and I think this is really important for this record, but technically for any album that tries to achieve what this album is trying to achieve. And then you can look at the drum sound, you can look at the bass. The drums on this record, super heavy, super powerful. A lot of the heaviness of this album lies on the drums, and there's a lot of methods that they used when it came to mixing the drums with the guitar sound in order to create a song that had more than just one parameter. And I thought that was really cool. For example, you have tracks where the drums are pushing the tempo of the song, but the guitars feel like they're stuck in mud, just heavy, pulling you down, drowning you in, and that to me created such an interesting dynamic, because a portion of the song feels like it's moving forward, and then there's another portion of the song that feels like it's holding you back. So these guys were super intelligent in the way they created this album, bringing obviously elements from their earlier career as far as heaviness and brutality is concerned, both from a musical standpoint and from a vocal standpoint, but also keeping an eye into the future and how to create an album that has that raw energy, that raw aggression, but still stays very well balanced in terms of what it offers sound-wise, that you can listen to a heavy album without not necessarily feeling completely overpowered by it, and this record has that ability. You're never bored of listening to it. The production behind it really helps on that front, and obviously the execution and the way they constructed these tracks. Now, vocally, Phil is phenomenal. You're going to get his harsh vocals, you're going to get the variations of his harsh vocal approach, but you're not going to get clean vocals. So you're going to get a more traditional side of Phil, if you will, a departure from the two previous records for sure, but one that matches the overall intensity that the sound of the album is putting forward. So the two go hand in hand. It's a more traditional vocal deathcore approach, if you will, but it works really well with the song designs, with the song structures, and with the sound itself, bringing together a record that, in my opinion, says a lot. It says a lot about the band, it says a lot about the discography, and it says a lot about how you can go about in 2025 releasing your 9th record in a very deep discography and still be able to surprise fans and put together something that, while, like I said, while connecting to the past, it sounds fresh, it sounds new, it sounds like it's looking towards the future. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I'm actually surprised that my favorite songs are not the singles. Not that I didn't like the singles, but I felt like there were actually better songs that haven't been picked as singles at the time that I'm recording this video. One of them being Prisoner 666. This is the opening track on the record. I think this is a phenomenal song. It's a great opening track for the album, but it's a great song all around. It sets the tone for the album. It sets the tone for the record, both musically and vocally. It's a great track, very musically driven, great lyrics, and then the vocal delivery in terms of how it delivers those lyrics is just off the charts. I really like that combo. I really like that dynamic. There's a great vocal flow throughout the entire song. The guitars, this is one of those tracks, like I was mentioning earlier. The guitars weigh you down, and the drums speed the track. Interesting dynamic because you really feel kind of caught between these two different worlds, and then the vocals hit you really hard, also bringing elements that allow the vocals to move a little bit quicker but also feel like they're also stuck with that same guitar sound. So great dynamic. I really enjoyed the overall dark melody and dark essence that this track puts forward. It has a great guitar solo that, even in its overall brightness and in its overall melody, also has darkness in it, allowing the track to have that sense of darkness that connects the dots that are not always easy to find or easy to connect. And then we have my favorite track on the entire album, Diabolical Slumber. I mean, this is an insane song. I would say that this song is just a continuation of breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. Vocally insane, very dynamic, giving tons of energy to the track and how it's presented. Overall, you still have that darkness, which is something you're going to find throughout the entire record. This is a very dark feel and sounding record, and this song emphasizes some of those elements, but it's more about the aggression. It's more about the heavier side of the song, the aggression in the sound, the aggression in the vocals. That continuous feel of breakdown after breakdown after breakdown after breakdown really adds to the overall heaviness and thickness of the tracks. The drums are potent, and then this song has the best call out of the entire record. Fuck them all, let them all die. It kills, it annihilates the track. It's like it's a showstopper of a song. This track slaps so hard. I love everything about it. I love that dark feel that the song has. I love the melodic side that's kind of intertwined within the heaviness of the song. I love that sense of the guitars mushing while the drums pushing, and then this call out is just the icing on the cake. Hands down, best track on the entire record. Now we have another song. I have another song to mention to you guys, which is Hate Cult Ritual. This is an in-your-face, super intense, aggressive track. This is one of those that just bulldozes over everything and everybody. And it doesn't matter if it's verses or chorus. It just steamrolls. It stays very connected. It stays very linear. It's not a track that offers a lot of ebbs and flows. It's a track that stays not condensed, but definitely compact in the way it presents itself. It has a great solo, perhaps one of the moments where there's a little bit of room to breathe within the song, but outside of that, it really is a track that just pushes through and just runs over everybody that's in its path. It's such an impactful track. It's such a brutal track because of that sense of intensity that it holds outside, obviously, of that pocket, of that solo that brings a little bit of somberness to the overall song. This is it, Whitechapel, Hymns in Dissonance. Once again, out March 7th on Metal Blade Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.